on 90.9 FM KSJE Farmington.
The Mayflower Compact committed the Pilgrims to a just and equal government in Massachusetts, but not necessarily to democracy.
A Moment in Time with Dan Roberts.
One of the fascinating characteristics of democracy as it developed in England and the United States is that democratic institutions resist ideology and tend to promote consensus. Among the early proponents of freer representative government were religious ideologues such as the Puritans. But ironically, they found that democracy tended to diminish their ability to force their Christian ideology on the English people, or maintain the ideological purity of the colonies they founded in America. They soon found themselves losing power. In 1620, freshly arrived in North America, the Pilgrims of Plymouth formulated the Mayflower Compact. This covenant, which called for just and equal laws, traces its roots to traditional English concepts of local government, the separatists' own experience in Holland, the Calvinist interpretation of biblical order, and their own intention to create a perfect Christian society. At first, they needed the help of everyone to carve a home out of the wilderness and extended the franchise or voting rights to most of the male settlers. Later, they would not be so generous. Next time, the Freeman's Choice. At the University of Richmond School of Professional and Continuing Studies, this is Dan Roberts.
Dan Roberts' new book, Master American History in 1 Minute a Day, a bite-sized romp through 500 years of American history, is available everywhere books are sold. A Moment in Time with Dan Roberts is produced at the University of Richmond with the cooperation of WCVE Public Radio. Our theme music is composed by B.J. Liederman. Our sound engineer is Robert Richards. Transcripts, podcasts, audio, and video are available at amomentintime.com.
$8:50 a.m. It is Thursday morning here on KSJE, and I have another special segment this morning to talk about a special event for veterans coming up early next month, and talking to veterans who own their own homes. San Juan County Assessor Jimmy Voita is here in the studio with me, as well as Beverly Charlie. She's the Tribal Liaison for the New Mexico Department of Veteran Services, and welcome both of you. Good to have you here.
Morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you both for being here. And so, Jimmy, let me start with you by talking a little bit about this event and kind of what it's designed to do. I guess explain to veterans all the benefits they're entitled to, correct, if they own a home?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're just trying to, we've got a push to try to get veterans to take advantage of this property exemption that they, if they're an honorably discharged veteran, then they own their own home, then they qualify for a property exemption, and we would like them to take advantage of it. So we're just kind of doing a push, and the state's coming in, and they're going to do on-the-spot exemptions on March 10th. So
there you go. These are property tax exemptions that
Correct.
We're talking about, right?
Correct. Yep.
And that could save quite a bit of money for folks, right?
Yeah. So it takes, if they're just an honorably discharged veteran, that it can take off $4,000 off the value, off the taxable value of their home, and then if they're a 100% disabled, then they can, then they would be totally tax exempt.
Got it.
Just their house. So
right.
So it's it's a nice benefit for them, and we would like to reach out and make sure that they're all taking advantage of this.
Very good. Beverly Charlie, with the work that you do, I imagine veterans may not be aware of some of these benefits that they're entitled to from their service, right?
Yes, I agree. A lot of veterans that come into the office are morally probably just questioning themselves to where they never heard about these services. Now they are hearing about it, and so I'm really glad we're having this event that throws it out there out loud. It lets us know that the San Juan County is supporting our veterans as well. So this is a good thing. Very,
very true. And so it's planned for March the 10th. Which, as I mentioned, is coming up, right? 10 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. over at your office there in Aztec, right?
Yes,
at the county building.
Office. Yep, and the state's going to be there, and they're from the Department of Veterans, and they're going to do just kind of on the spot approvals. So
Gotcha.
Yes, we just want to get the word out.
To add a little more to what he said, the state will be there, our department, our benefits department. They will issue the certificates, the green, the 4,000, and the waiver right on spot. So it'll be like a one-day effect services at that point, where the veteran they'll need to bring in their documents to apply, and then once we get them registered, they'll get their certificate, go into Voita's office, and then turn around, and then they should be pretty much done all in one.
A one-stop shop, as it were,
one-stop
right?
shop,
Is the kind of what it's designed to do, it sounds like to me, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And so that's a great thing. And I'm looking at the poster that we're showing to our video audiences this morning, and it's mentioning, too, that unmarried surviving spouses of veterans, are they also eligible for some of this?
Yes. In that case, too, they'll need, again, documents is very important. DD 214, death certificate, marriage certificate, if their husband was in prior to 100% permanent and total, they'll need to have some kind of verification as well.
Got it.
And we'll go back, New Mexico driver's license with a voter register ID card, or one of the two.
Okay, those are all the documents.
Those are the documents. And I mean, there's
looking
I guess a different one too, I guess looking at the DD 214, but above all, that's what a lot of us recognize.
Right, understood. And so that's important for folks to have with them when they come on the 10th. They'll have to
Yes.
go home and come back.
Yes.
But you'll be there all day, 10 to
Yes.
7:30. So it should be a fairly easy thing, and to be able to agree, to issue these exemptions on the spot, and that's really what it's designed to do.
That's the most important part. We're very excited that it's going to happen.
Right. And Jimmy Voita, the time of year, I mean, is this a good time to get these exemptions in? I mean, it's maybe too late for last year's tax assessments and things like that, but certainly this is the time that you're starting up for 2023, isn't
That's
it?
correct. So they'll have until, people have until, end of April, beginning of May to apply for these exemptions, but the state, this worked out for them and for us, and we're, big supporters of the veterans.
Right.
So, we were like, heck yeah, let's do this.
Right. Get on board.
Yeah,
And get the word out. And I know that this is just one of many exemptions for property owners in New Mexico. This is for veterans, of course, but I know there are others that folks should make themselves aware of, and things along that line. You haven't been shy about talking about these things with me years after year.
Yeah.
But that's always important to know as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a head of household. If you just own and live in your home, you'd qualify for an exemption, and we want you to ask you to apply for that. Take advantage of that.
And that was so easy, even I could do it. That's what I'm saying. So it's a form, really, and that's
it's
it.
just a simple form. Yeah,
So, yeah.
But if you don't apply, then you won't get it. And then once you apply once, as long as you continue to own and live in that home, it just carries forward every year. And that's usually, depends on the mill rates, but it's usually about $40 a year. But over 10 years, that's $400, so it adds up.
Sure.
There's
Right.
also a what they call a senior freeze. So if you're 65 or older and make less than, that number changes a little every year. It's around $37,000 or $38,000 a year. Then you get that they roll the value back, and there's a complex form. It was designed by the state legislature, but
Say no more.
yeah,
That explains everything.
yeah, exactly. But
But it does help seniors
yeah, absolutely.
that meet that criteria.
Yeah, and if the people are on a fixed income, dollars are tough, so it helps them out. So
Sure.
we encourage them to come in and apply for that as well.
Got you. But I know this morning we're talking about veterans, and so that's the focus, and I want to make sure everyone understands what we're talking about. But this event, March the 10th, a chance to do all this in one stop and get that certificate and get that exemption, right? And talk more about the benefits that these veterans are entitled to.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we're we encourage them. We're, like I said, we're veteran friendly. We want them to get in there and take advantage of that stuff. They earned it. So let's get them in there and have them do it.
Right, very true. And Beverly, Charlie, again, when you're working with some of these veterans and some of the work that you do, telling them about some of the things that they're entitled to and should be taking advantage of, I mean, hopefully it's a pretty easy sell to get these veterans to sign up for some of these things that they've earned for their service.
Absolutely. A lot of our veterans, I think, even as, Voita and I were in the service, we're very proudful. But sometimes when financial hits, that's when we really start thinking about our benefits and what we need to do. So I really encourage a lot of these veterans to come in, even on March March 10th, when we have this event, it's also focused on the exempt, not just a waiver. So
Right.
both, and they can do both. And that exempt can be used two different ways, one or the other, either on the vehicle registration or on the house property. So if a veteran comes in, or the veterans that are listening, they say, well, I live on the Navajo reservation and I don't have property tax, they can use that tax exempt for their vehicle registration.
Good point.
So, yeah, we want to make sure, we want them to come in and say, I don't want them to be scared away, say I don't have property taxes.
Right.
So we got to make sure that they all come in.
Right, and so it could work for the vehicle registration fees in New Mexico as well.
As well, yes.
And so that's an important thing. And again, same thing, right? They can come in this one day on March the 10th
Exactly.
and get everything taken care of for that.
And I'm sure our staff, too, will look at other benefits, too, under the state of New Mexico. And, of course, write the note. We also have, like, the Fish and Game, the Parks Pass, that they can apply for. We'll even let them know about the Wartime Scholarship. Stuff like that falls under the state that they're also, that they can apply for. So.
Got you. And so obviously you'll have a good component of staff there to help as well on this particular day, right? When
Yeah,
folks are
we'll
coming
have
in.
staff coming in from Albuquerque and Santa Fe that are just excited and wanting to be here. This will be our first one for the San Juan County. And, of course, we've thought about it in the past, but we've always had something in front of us that has gotten in our way, such as the pandemic or just something.
Right.
But this year, we're definitely going to make it a move, and we're in the plans, and we're excited.
The timing is right. So
Yeah.
before the next variant comes, let's take advantage
Yeah,
of being able to do
exactly.
some of these things in person
And
for sure.
before
Yeah.
is for the Parks Pass and we had talked about the fishing game. Those aren't a one-day turnaround stop shop. Those, of course, we'll get them ordered.
Yeah.
We'll apply for them, and eventually they'll get to the veteran. But the one day is regarding the tax exempt and the waiver.
That's what you're going to do on March the 10th. The others, though, might
The
take a
others
few
will
weeks.
apply for it, but they'll get it later on in the mail.
Right, but at least it'll get applied,
At
and,
least
and
we'll
you'll help
apply,
them
yeah.
get that done. So that's a good thing. So very good. Well, thank you both for coming in and talking about this morning. It's a great opportunity again, and a reminder to veterans of just how much benefits they can take advantage of. So
Yeah, absolutely.
it's an important thing. So wonderful. Thank you both very much.
Absolutely. Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
You're
We
very
appreciate
welcome.
it.
My guests this morning, Jimmy Voita and Beverly Charlie, with me here on KSJE. You're tuned to KSJE Farmington, 90.9 FM and HD.